Hi everyone. Today I'm with Gabby.
Hello.
We're here at the main office, um, reporting on the Supreme Court ruling. The June 23rd Supreme Court ruling, Blanche versus Lau, is extremely concerning for every green card holder who is in the country and who leaves the country. And the reason why is because a lot of people's rights and privileges as a green card holder has now just been curtailed. We've seen this coming in the past year and a half. Ever since the Trump administration came into place, customs enforcement has gone up significantly. But up till this Supreme Court ruling, a lot of the strictness of customs has been just raising the bar to what the law permitted them to do. But this specific case have blown that roof off. It is true that during COVID times, customs have relaxed the standard of people entering the country. For good, for bad, okay, we're not going to be focusing on that today. But the point is that there is a law of what they're responsible for and who they are supposed to admit, not admit. They're supposed to be who they inspect, not inspect, and the problems that they're supposed to dive into, right? This new Supreme Court ruling has made it so that now CBP's authority and scope have now increased dramatically. And the rights of lawful permanent residents of green card holders have now decreased significantly. A green card holder with a pending criminal charge, pending, not convicted, pending criminal charge, left the country, Mr. Lau. When he came back in, the officer said, well, I'm not sure if you're inadmissible or not. And so I'm going to parole you in. I'm going to reserve my judgment on whether or not you can be admitted for a later date. So admit them in. And then later on in immigration court, it is found that this person is inadmissible. And so now their green card can be stripped away. That's what happened in this case. If somebody left the US when they're coming back in, a lawful permanent resident should have the same rights and privileges as a US citizen when they enter the country. They're not supposed to be inspected unless specifically for specific four reasons. If they've voluntarily abandoned their residency, if they've been outside the US for over 180 days, if they've committed illegal act outside of the US, or if they're in removal proceedings. That's strictly within the Congress's law. Green card holder entering the country, when they're at the airport, when they're at the border, if they have a green card, they've already gone through the entire process of getting a green card. When they're entering, they're not seeking admission. This is their home. But now with this new Supreme Court rule, if you have a pending criminal charge, whether you're convicted or not convicted, customs can say, well, now you're seeking admission. We're going to reserve judgment. And if later on you are found to be inadmissible at immigration court or later on, then you do not have eligibility to get the green card. Customs authority have now been expanded, ICE's authority have been expanded, and now the Supreme Court has given them the go-ahead. Now, the immigration backlog and the courts is already several million cases with only 600 immigration judges. This is going to clog up the system more. Does that mean every single green card holder who had a prior, incident with the law, now when they leave and they come back, they can't? You think, oh, there's a warrant out against a green card holder. They must be a terrible person. No, somebody left the US. They had a traffic ticket that didn't pay for, that they didn't know about because it was mailed to the wrong address. The traffic ticket didn't go pay, and then it all automatically becomes a warrant when they're seeking admission. And we are always seeking admission because a lot of times they're out of the US for way over 180 days. Sometimes they're over 9 years out of the US because they were been hospitalized or they've been, in a lot of different situations, right? But this, again, makes it so that even more customs officer can have free discretion to directly ask people to abandon their green card or to with the 407 or to parole them in like what we saw in this case and then go through immigration court. And that is an extremely painful process, and it pretty much makes Congress's law void, right? So now if somebody gets a green card, anytime they try to come back in, it's up to the officer's discretion.
And in practice, I think, when you have these type of cases, you have to write out those long attorney briefs to explain the situation, to explain the client's background. Nowadays, with this new court ruling, people are going to have to be ready to explain, right?
Yeah.
At the airport,
Yeah.
at anywhere.
So, if you have a criminal record, or even if you have a civil record, and if you don't know, have somebody do a detailed background check to kind of confer exactly what you have in your record, right? So we use LexisNexis. We run background checks all the time for people for different reasons. And if the government reviews your situation and see there's prior judgments against you, there's prior arrests, there's been convictions or cases have been dropped or dismissed, customs officer working for the federal government, they can go back and review your case. It's not just an administration saying enforce it so that you're to be strict. It's you're reviewing a case and say now you have the ability to review a case versus you shouldn't be reviewing a case, right? Again, prior to this Supreme Court ruling, as a green card holder entering the country, you have the same rights and privileges as a U.S. citizen. You can't, customs can't just say, oh, you might not be a U.S. citizen. You might have been denaturalized, so I'm going to confiscate your passport. Think about the outrage all America would feel. Well, lawful permanent residents now just became, before they were already second-class citizens in this administration, now they're like third-class citizens because customs can say, I think, this charge, this pending charge, this accusation might be true, so I'm going to reserve my judgment. I'm going to confiscate your green card. Customs were not supposed to inspect for admission, right? Mm-hmm. National security threat, that's fair. Nobody complained about that. But just any single criminal record that is pending. But the thing is, will the officer even know the difference between a state criminal charge, a federal criminal charge, a civil charge, a fine by the IRS, a traffic ticket, a credit card debt? Will these become all conflicted, and an officer who is already so busy, overstressed, will just say, you know what, just to play it safe, I'm going to confiscate the green card, right? In a state of bureaucracy, when they are already underpaid, overworked, when they have so many things to do, you give them this kind of additional authority that's not a clear line. And if you admit the wrong person, again, they're law enforcement, right? If they admit the wrong person, they get in trouble. So what are they going to do? When in doubt, well, I'm just going to confiscate the green card. I'll reserve my judgment. U.S. immigration policy is essentially caging and trapping people who have any sort of, issue with the law. Again, it's not even a conviction, right? And in this case, they're arguing it's not even a moral turpitude problem. And again, as green card holders' rights continue to decrease, we are also beginning to see citizenships beginning to decrease, right? Oh, are you sworn or are you born? Well, if you're sworn, you might not be a true citizen, and we might be able to denaturalize you. And so now there's going to be a separation of second-tier citizens. And so, is this the path America we want to go down, right? And again, the Supreme Court ruling just 2 days ago, directly contradicts what Congress intended. And that's what the dissenting opinion says, right? And the thing is, I understand if the Supreme Court wants to say, based on public policy, we think it's better for the country so that customs have more authority. I understand that, public policy reasons. But if you are bending backwards to argue a law to say the officer has the authority to use discretion to not admit somebody, but when the law clearly says that they should not inspect them, and they're not seeking admission, and the officer should admit them unless they're part of these four things, you're directly contradicting Congress's law. But this is already the supreme law of the land, So, what are we going to do about it? So I think the only thing people can do is to help themselves, right? The Supreme Court already ruled this way. So now everyone just has to prepare their own case and hopefully explain to that officer that their case is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times for our clients, the way we start is with a background check. So that becomes now far more important than anything else to start, right? Like to start any immigration process.
And in this case, they already got the green card.
Right.
They,
So,
USC has already approved them. They are not inadmissible. They're not deportable. Now, maybe somebody got the green card and then 3, 4, 5 years in, they got a DUI. They got 2 DUIs. They got some sort of other offense. Basically, every single time they leave and come back again, it's almost like that green card interview all over again, but except this time it's with an untrained customs officer, right? And whether or not green card holder should be admitted or not admitted, that is way beyond what they're trained to do. But now this essential law empowers them to do that. I don't think most customs officers will do this. I think most customs officers, when they review, they will be doing what they've always been doing. They pull them into secondary, they ask a few questions, you answer appropriately, they say fine, or they will confiscate the green card, they go through deferred inspection, they give it back. I think that's what is most likely going to happen. What are we going to do about the bad officers? The bad officers who see something and because they don't like you, because of their prejudice, because of their error in judgment, now they want to come up with an excuse to justify their action. They could say, I'm going to confiscate the green card, I'm going to refer you, I'm gonna give you an NTA, I'm gonna refer you to immigration court. Are there bad officers? Absolutely. Even customs officer, when we meet with them, they say, of course there's bad apples everywhere, right? And again, we understand that. So, but our policy as a country, as different agencies, should be to empower good officers to do the right thing and to eliminate as much as possible bad officers' decisions. This Supreme Court ruling, this public policy, I don't think helps. This is another instance in which people are now trapped in the U.S. who cannot travel, right?
Yeah, just thinking about, the different demographic, different type of clients that we deal with. Like people are more intimidated, like now you have a green card before, okay, you get a green card, you're alive, you come out of the shadows, you now can get a good job, you now can go work for the government, you can join the military, you can do a lot of things.
Yep.
But now it seems like it's no longer that way. And then what if it was something that happened when you were really young, when you were like 18 years old, when you're not really thinking about, what happens in 20 years when I have children and a family and a good stable job, when I become a professional. Now it's like, okay, everybody's the same. Whether it happened when you were 18 or whether it happened yesterday. Now you are just as bad as a criminal as any other person, and now we're going to take your green card.
Right. And again, I'm not worried about the good officers. I trust the good officers will do the right thing. I think it's the bad officers that now have a justification. And before, it's already incredibly hard to reverse a customs officer's decision. Now, even harder, right? And people have to be dragged through this additional pain.